This concludes session 7 and in fact all our plenary sessions. We hope you find the sessions interesting and helpful. It's now time to conclude this meeting, and I would like to invite the representatives of COSTAD and the UNSD to joint organizers of this conference and ask them to share their views on what we've discussed over the last 3 days. Let me first invite Ms. Parucci, representing the UNSD, for her remarks.
Distinguished Vice Commissioner Mr. Kwang-Sop Kim, dear expert and colleagues, it is my great pleasure to offer a few concluding remarks as we close these 3 days of excellent contributions from a wide range of experts and very useful discussions. First, allow me to thank the government of the Republic of Korea for hosting this international conference and express our gratitude to Commissioner Kim Kwan-ryu and the colleagues at Statistics Korea for their support and great collaboration in co-organizing this conference. As in previous years, this gathering has provided the opportunity to hear the experiences from many parts of the world and different data communities, but also to learn about the important work and innovative developments from our Korean colleagues. It is undoubtful that the pandemic has affected data and statistical operations in an unprecedented way in most countries. But we have heard that as governments around the world were fighting to control the devastating impact of the pandemic on the lives of people, and they were moving rapidly to address the destructive effects on their economies, data were central and more critical and needed than ever before. And while the crisis has certainly posed many challenges to the ability of national statistical offices to run key statistical programs and maintain their regular statistical operations, many national statistical offices and other partners from different data communities have really raised to the challenge very quickly, adopting new data solutions and accelerating innovation. We can now build on these many experiences, and these solutions are here to stay. During these 3 days, we've also heard how critically important it is to have in place agile and resilient data systems that can offer the necessary data when a disaster hits, and to design and implement preventative measures as well as recovery policies and programs. The implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction require coordinated actions by national statistical systems, national disaster risk reduction offices, national geospatial information agencies, and all other stakeholders to have in place the needed data capacities. The pandemic has brought the critical importance of data to the forefront. The data and statistical community can now really build on this momentum to move this important agenda forward. But this, of course, is not possible without adequate funding and political commitment. Again, we can look at what we've learned over this last year and a half, showing the critical impact of data. In the case of the pandemic, data availability or lack thereof sadly could have made a difference in many cases between life and death. And how the impact of data can really increase the demand and can be used in turn to increase the possibility of mobilizing resources for it. These are all important themes that we collectively need to continue to focus on. In closing, I would like to invite you all to join us in Bern, Switzerland, as we gather for the 3rd United Nations World Data Forum, taking place between 3rd and 6th October 2021 this year. There we will have the space to continue the conversation around many of these topics. And for those of you who cannot travel to Switzerland, this year's forum also offers the opportunity to join remotely, so it will be a hybrid event. So thank you all very much again, and looking forward to seeing many of you in Bern. Thank you. Goodbye.
Many thanks to Ms. Parucci for nicely summarizing our discussion. Next, let me invite Mr. Kwang-Sop Kim, Vice Commissioner of COSTAD, for his conclusion.
Dear Director Schweinfest, Assistant Director Francesca Perucci of the UNSD, distinguished guests, on behalf of Statistics Korea, I'd like to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude for your active participation during the past 3 days. The lively discussion reminded me of my days at UN headquarters. It's good to see you again, Francesca. Your efforts for the 2021 International Conference on Official Statistics seems to have been paid off by its success. Dear colleagues, it has probably become a cliche by now, but let me iterate one more time that we are going through truly unprecedented times as statisticians. The pandemic has accelerated the modernization of NSO and the need for technical assistance, not only for new survey methodologies, such as web and mobile-based platforms, but also for remote operations. There is a growing demand for integrated data and statistics. In this regard, the diverse cases sharing during this conference on how to respond to the pandemic and prepare for future crises were instrumental in helping us understanding the concrete needs of users and data and statistics. I would like to once again thank all speakers and participants for sharing their valuable knowledge. The Sendai framework sets out a pathway to reduce disaster risks. Under this paramount guideline, national statistical offices are given the task of furnishing more appropriate, timely, and reliable data and statistics to governments and major agencies so that these institutions can respond in a more agile and resilient manner to the post-COVID era. Thanks to the wealth of knowledge and experience shared during this conference, we are now one step closer to building a solid, interoperable statistical system. Our minds have been replenished by an array of ideas, shared cases, hard efforts made, numbers, commitment, and above all, visions. I hope the conference has reminded all national statistical offices of the importance of the data and the statistics we each own. Dear all, the 2021 International Conference on Official Statistics is now officially over. My gratitude goes to all the speakers, panelists, moderators, and attendees for their active participation despite the time difference and the difficult circumstances amid the pandemic. I would also like to thank colleagues from the UNSD, Francesca Perucci, Linda Hooper, and Lee Wang, and my colleagues of COSTAT and any other staff members working at the backstage for planning and running this conference. COSTAT prays that the conference will be held offline next year to meet all of you in person and share ampler experiences. Thank you for your attention.
I'd like to thank Mr. Kim for this wonderful closing. We thank everyone for your participation and contribution to the conference. If you would like to revisit all or any part of our conference, the video recordings of our conference will be or already are available in our conference website and YouTube. We hope you enjoy this conference. Thank you and goodbye.